So, after watching this film, I cannot believe that people are still talking about Helen's beauty. And Christopher Nolan's iteration on this story, the way that the story's arranged with flashbacks and his focus on what characters that he focused on, I can only imagine that there's some editorializing or some personalization, some customization of this story. I can only imagine that Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey is somehow different than just a front-to-back reading of The Odyssey. I can only imagine, because I can't remember reading The Odyssey, and I know I read it I know that they gave me the book and that I read the story in class, and I don't think I read the whole thing from beginning to end. But I was glad that I didn't remember how it ended, because I got to enjoy the film. You know, I didn't know if at the end he says, "Hey, I killed everybody, and now you could be the king, my son." I didn't know how it ended, so I actually got to enjoy it like a movie. Like, I don't know how it ends. And although that's a little bit first world, because if you're from the third world and you go, "Oh, the good guys always win," or if you're bitter, you go, "Oh, you know how it's going to end, the good guy always wins." But I didn't know that, because it's an old movie, and you know. But who cares, because we now know how common it is for people to play ignorant for the sake of their children's development, and how you can at any time find that the world knows everything around, that at any time you can find that everyone knows everything, and cool. At the end of the story, I realized that the story of Odysseus was a perfect story for those... The story of Odysseus was a perfect story for those men, the suitors, right? Like, Odysseus, he's supposedly the one who's in the right. It's his property, it's his wife, it's his kingdom. And these suitors are in this kingdom. And when Odysseus comes in under the title of Synod, he could have sat there and told the story. And if Odysseus's men are pigs, then what are we, is the kind of question that those suitors in that space would have, you know, it would have thing. And then all the cuckery and not the cuckery, but the way that young men are placed in this position to be unsatisfying and not know, you know, it was difficult for me to tolerate myself while watching this film, because I was so cynical. I'm thinking all of the ways that this story could be fictional, I'm thinking of all of the ways that, oh, it's a morality lesson, or oh, it's a manipulation, or oh, there's a reading between the lines, what really happened, or what's really going on behind the scenes, and all that stuff. And I had to choose to stare at Anne Hathaway and try and believe in faithfulness, but through all of the disillusionment and all of the different possible ways that reality can be. It could be this way, it could be that way, you don't know, it could be like this, could be like that. And when Odysseus comes back, I saw Anne Hathaway, like, as an actress, perform this loyalty expression. I had to, like, really choose to not be cynical and to kind of, like, stare at Anne Hathaway and go, oh, pah, I believe in love again. Oh, relationships are real. I had to, like, but when Odysseus speaks to her, in that moment, while I'm doing that, Odysseus speaks to the housed, the civilized, the city folk, because he says that when he sacked Troy, that he destroyed all civilization. He destroyed his own city. And the words that he used implies that these cities are duplicitous, that these palaces are betrayed. That the palace itself, as if the palace was alive, as if the house, the building, the palace, the shelter, the housing, as if the building desires to be sincere, and that the palace itself that desires to be real, that the palace that desires, as if the palace desires to truly protect her, and as if the palace desires to truly communicate a truth, and that this palace that would like to communicate a truth has been betrayed. I don't know if I'm communicating it correctly. So it was very, very rich, nutritious, very nutritious. That statement that he makes to his wife at the end, it was, it was incredibly, I don't like to use, it was, they say rich, a rich experience. And it's unfortunate, but this word has become a bitterness to me. I found out how easy it is to use the word poorly. And it was upsetting to me when I first found out how it is used poorly. I've said this before, but poorly should mean, oh, this was done poorly. That means that the guy that worked on it, he made sure every detail of it was absolutely perfect. That's what poorly should mean. That the guy, this was done poorly. Oh, this guy, he he was hoping that this was going to be his big break. This was done poorly. But the conversation between Odysseus and Penelope was, what Odysseus said to her was, it passed through the ages and reached me. That's amazing.
I interact with people.
Like, wow. Oh man. So I came here to communicate that I would like to tell John Leguizamo that his performance was, when even at the very end, like you would think that after he was beaten, and that they, first of all, you're like wondering, they told, like, how is he alive, and then the guy says that he showed him mercy. There was a, okay, there was a moment where I thought that Odysseus was going to. A few moments where I thought Odysseus was going to be like the king of the rabble or something, the king of the beggars, and like, because there's, and it when he first when Damon comes back clothed as a beggar, or clothed as a vagabond, or clothed as a traveler with nothing, I thought, oh, we're gonna see how tough these poor guys can be. Wow, these old men, they're gonna go in there and be like, you know, I thought that was gonna happen, and instead we see that John Leguizamo is tired of hope. He's like, hope. That was, oh. It makes me pity God because he can't appreciate it. You know, like John Leguizamo, he played a demon in the Spawn movie, and then in this movie he expresses a frustration in the direction of hope. And he's just like, hope is torture, and so I came to tell him that I would like him to, you know, I would like, straight from the horse's mouth is the phrase, but we just came from fucking, what was it called, the Troy, the horse, Trojan horse. Boy, am I so tired of friendship and intercommunication being labeled as poison. You're the Trojan horse. You want to come and thank me, and everything good is bad. But no, like, from me, I wanted you to hear from me. From my person. Misha Esperson. I have a friend, his name is M.E. Misha. First name Misha, last name Esperson with an E at the beginning. And when I first saw Misha, he was out in the street, tending to the wounds of the battered gaze, and with a bag from a pharmacy with band-aids and gauze, putting band-aids on, giving band-aids to the punks, giving bandages to the punk, to the old-fashioned word for punk. The old-fashioned meaning of punk. And but yeah, I cannot believe, because the way that Christopher Nolan focuses the film with cutbacks and with character focus, you know, in the story, does Helen have cuts on her face? Is she no longer beautiful after, you know, is she no longer beautiful? Because in this movie, she's got these scars, and on a black girl, scars, they're not, you know, it's very dangerous. You could have pink scars, you could have, you know.
Yeah. So you have to
they and then doubly so, because then when you see her beauty, her twin sister, when you see her beauty, she's you know, you know, and then to call Calypso a lover, and I watched this video from you know, I can't really offhandedly remember his name, but this professor that does political YouTube videos, and he looks like a professor, and he sounds like a professor, and he speaks with the confidence of the professor. And for him to focus on Helen's beauty and to go out and do that, I mean, wow, they must really care about the ignorance of their children, because it's very difficult for me to believe that you still wouldn't get it like a. But I watched some of these commentaries because I knew that they were going to be in the wrong direction, because that's how they manipulate you in the wrong direction to help you enjoy it more. But I've been so traumatized by intentional duplicity that when I spoke to Rand Miller, I said to disillusion me, and boy have I been disillusioned. The Matrix, Fight Club, the character of Deadpool, how this guy's still trying to make money in this world where he can do whatever he wants. Sheesh. Exclamation of something. Well, the sun came out. So that's it, man. I don't really know what else to say about it. Bye.